Good afternoon, everyone. It's David Schlotthauer here in the home weather office with another detailed update on the tropics for Wednesday, July 26th, 2023. In this update, we are monitoring an area of interest dubbed by the National Hurricane Center, which has a 30% chance of tropical formation in the next 7 days. More of the models, the dynamical models picking up on this, that this might end up becoming our next tropical depression within the next 7 to 10 days. Taking a look at the true color satellite imagery courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com, Dr. Levi Cowan, that makes these images possible for free public domain use. And we can see that there is the wave coming off of Africa just to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Some deep convection with this, but it is struggling a little bit, and we shall see how long that struggle does occur for. Because the later this develops, it might end up where we don't want it to end up. We also got another area of interest, really not much by any means. I mean, the NHC is not dubbing this anymore as an area of concern, but nevertheless, it's going to bring in some showers and storms today across the northern Bahamas as well as central and southern Florida. Might get some squally type winds, some thunderstorms, some lightning on the beaches, so just be aware of that. Very warm sea surface temperatures down here too, which I will show you here on a post from Twitter illustrating that temperatures did break the triple digits a few days ago, showing just how warm those waters are in the Key West area. There is our area also. Well, not anymore 95L by any means, but there is some disturbed weather associated with that just south of the Dominican Republic, bringing in some showers and thunderstorms at this given time. So now when we take a look at the National Hurricane Center, really only one area to watch. I mean, yesterday we had 3 areas to watch, from 3 down to 1 now, which is better, I guess, because at least the 2 areas are no longer as much of a concern of tropical development where it's closer to land areas. But we do have this area. In the eastern Atlantic, we have a tropical wave that is located a couple of 100 miles to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Conditions are expected to be favorable for gradual development of the system later this week and into the weekend while it moves westward to the west-northwest over the tropical Atlantic. There is a 30% chance for tropical development. So what I'm telling you all is on my thumbnail, you're going to see a yellow area, okay, of interest that has a 30% on it. This is not clickbait by any means at all. My thumbnails are not, my titles are not, because I know yesterday some comments about that in regards to me clickbaiting. I'm not here for that. I want you all to understand. I'm here to give you guys the truthful weather information of what I see and my own opinion. There's even a disclaimer in the video below this in the description, clearly stating that this is, again, my own thoughts and mine alone, all right? And you still need to look at the National Hurricane Center and your local officials for the best information, if that makes sense. So now, for that reasoning, to clear up the mishap, clearing out the confusion and the misunderstanding in yesterday's video, I am going to be comparing 4 global computer models. Okay, we have the quartet of models here. We're going to be showing you the Euro first, then the GFS, then the Canadian, and then we're going to be looking at some moisture plots on the GFS again. Okay, so that way there's no confusion here. I'm here to provide you as accurate weather information that I can possibly do with the best of my knowledge. Okay, so on the Euro, this is a look at 3 different plots here. So what we're looking at is, first of all, the 500 millibar geopotential height lines. See these lines right here? That's the heights at 500 millibars. It's this chart. So instead of showing you the color chart, otherwise, we're showing you kind of 3 perimeters in one. 850 millibar vorticity, 500 millibar height, and 200 millibar winds. So this is a different layer in the atmosphere. By the way, 200 millibars is roughly at about 36,000 feet. So these wind barbs illustrate where the wind is coming from in the tropics, and they're coming out of the west at this given time with the 500 millibar ridge And then the color code here, the rainbow colors, is our vorticity at 850 millibars. Pretty cool that Dr. Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com puts this all together for free. I mean, that's the best part of this. It's all for free public domain these days. Okay, so we're going to go forward here, and we're going to look at this area, this little guy down here. That's, again, the area of interest from the NHC. No invest yet, but if it did, it'd be 96L, which we're not going to even get into that right now because I would be going ahead of myself. But either way, it is the disturbance that we're watching. Okay, so this is 2 days out. This is for Friday morning on July 28th, 2023. There is our vorticity. Here is our mid-level ridge pattern. And so the question remains, will this develop at all? The Euro specifically does not show this developing hardly into anything substantial, but there is a little bit of a footprint here, as you can see, at about Sunday morning, July the 30th, 2023. But now if this does develop, it's going to go out to sea. It's going to curve out like this. And the reason why we have that is this trough. And I'll show you here more on the GFS model since that's the more bullish run. And so we can get a better understanding on what is exactly going to happen. But you can see it going through this 500 millibar ridge. There's a weakness on the western flank. This thing is going to go north. And then it's going to get stretched out apart by August the 3rd on Thursday. So the Euro continuously not showing anything out of this system, barely anything. If the most gets to develop here, or if it gets to be the most organized on the Euro, it would probably be a low-grade tropical depression. 30-mile-an-hour winds at best, okay, at best on the Euro. So let's take a look now at the GFS model. Okay, these are all 12Z runs, by the way. Okay, 12Z. So when we go forward, you can see in the next 48 hours, the GFS model, I just don't understand it. I don't know if the GFS model is more right over the Euro model. It's very concerning to see that the GFS has not let go. It's kind of like you're buckled up, you're not going to unbuckle yourself, versus the Euro is being the more generous model at this point in time, not showing much in the way of development. Because let's go forward here. Let's go out to day 3. The system really tries to get better organized here. Take note, though, the wind barbs are out of the easterly direction. That's 200 millibar winds. You're not seeing the winds going in like this because we're looking at a different level of the atmosphere. 3 different areas: surface, or low, mid, and upper. So let's now go to day 4. Day 5, this is Monday next week. And yeah, the GFS model really wants this to develop pretty quickly. All right, and so now the question remains, now that it gets intense, is it going to kind of go towards Florida? Is it going to go straight into the Carolinas? Or is it going to turn out like this? More than likely, the outcome scenario here would be that it turns northward before even reaching the U.S. The reason why I say that is because we have a trough of low pressure. See the flow right here in the northeastern U.S.? See this trough that is in place? That's going to set the edge to this ridge. So we can see the 500 millibar ridge outlined here, and this is going to be eroded by this trough that comes in, and this system also going northwest is going to help to erode the western flank of this ridge. So at this moment, we have seen a recorrection to the GFS. It's now trended more away from land, and it does not look to impact any areas. But it could get close to Bermuda. And when we go and take that forward here to a Wednesday next week on August the 2nd, due to accuracy purposes, I am not going to go beyond 180 hours. This is as far as I am going out because of that. All right, because of yesterday's video and other factors. So we can see a possible strong tropical storm at the very most. I know you all are going to say, it's a hurricane, David, it's a hurricane. Really trying to keep it low and slow on my end here because we just don't know yet exactly if this is going to be as intense as the GFS actually illustrates, which, you know, the GFS likes to hype up everything anyways. So that's why I'm a little more careful in this video than yesterday's. Well, yesterday I was pretty careful, but I'm really going to be extra careful this time. There's your 500 millibar ridge. There is the trough that is in place, and this thing is going to go out in that general direction. Let's look at the Canadian model now. Let's see what that shows. Let's go out to day 3 here for Saturday morning. Again, there is our area of interest that is developing. Same players on the field here, where we do have this ridge that is in place. We have this trough well modeled now on the global dynamical models, really indicating and seeing that very well. So that helps us as forecasters at seeing where this system is going to go. So let's go out to Tuesday, August the 1st. And yeah, you can see how it just kind of turns pretty much with where the GFS has it, because again, it gets captured by this large scale trough, and it kind of gets shunted, or it kind of is allowed to turn freely to the north and then to the northeast. So at this moment, I have some good news in today's 12Z guidance that there is no threat to any land areas at the moment. That does not mean what I just said. Do not take that seriously, because there is a possibility this could shift back. But the more likely outcome scenario is that this trough in the northeast might be a saving grace for our disturbance coming off of Africa, as it might be far enough south to at least set the edge to the subtropical ridge that is over the Azores, and that allows the system to turn freely north. So now questions are being asked. Now, what is the environment ahead of this system? Well, when we take a look at the mid-level moisture plot, so green colors are a lot of moisture. Browner colors are very little in the way of moisture in the deep layer atmosphere. So we go forward here, a nice good wave pocket here of moisture. We see that very well on the satellite imagery. We see that on a lot of the models, and we're seeing that on the moisture plot today from the GFS. So while the environment looks to be pretty conducive in the short term, there might be some wrinkles in the forecast. You take a look at our 200 millibar flow map, we can see that, again, this trough, how I just said, it's going to dig further south, but there's also this little trough that is even further south than that into the Bahamas. This is what we call a tut. And the thing is, this tut is actually going to help to amplify this trough a little more. And so when we go forward in time, it's going to get caught underneath this southwesterly flow. Now, the unfortunate thing in a sense here is that the system goes north with this southwesterly flow. So there might not be a whole lot of shear here despite that factor, but there's also going to be some dry air getting shunted in from the southwest. So there might be some a little bit of a disruption to a vortex here if the GFS is correct and is able to develop this nicely. By August the 3rd, by the end of the model run here, we can see a lot of the dry air coming in from the west. So again, there's a lot of mixed signals here on the global forecasting system, but the good news here is it's going a little faster than what we previously thought, and it's staying away from the U.S. than what we thought yesterday, which is, I guess, a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. But yeah, Bermuda might need to watch this one, since Bermuda is right there. It could get a little too close, uncomfortably close, to the little small island there of Bermuda in days to come. So now that we're going to shift gears and look at our sea surface temperatures, I sure hope that I did a good job on that part of the video. I tried my best at staying low and slow, okay, in other words. But some of the words that I'm about to mention out of my mouth, please don't take these seriously. But it's just the way how I visualize it and how I relay it to you all. These sea surface temperatures are very, very concerning. Okay, I don't rarely say that very often. Okay, I'm not trying to hype up stuff, folks, but I'm about to show you a Twitter post here that really illustrates how seriously warm these sea surface temperatures are down here in southern Florida and the Bahamas. The Gulf of Mexico has cooled off slightly, so I will give you that in some good news. Sea surface temperatures right around 30 to 31 Celsius. We're not seeing 32 to 33 Celsius like we saw last week, but still really warm. Warm enough to support major to violent hurricanes. We're also seeing some really warm sea surface temperatures in the western portion of the Atlantic, just about the deep tropics right now, pretty much ready to go for late August into September and October, during which in time the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season usually arrives. So sea surface temperature anomalies right now, definitely above average again throughout the deep tropics here, anywhere between about 1.5 to 2 Celsius. Again, we have lost some of the warmth in that area, so not as far above average as we were seeing just a week ago, but still warm enough, again, to give us a pretty busy season if the conditions are able to line up in the face of a strengthening El Nino, which I have not been able to talk about recently because of the tropics. I'm going to try to fit in time for that tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Some of you have been asking me, is David going to make an El Nino video? When is the next video? I'm going to do what I can to bring you guys that information when it comes clear, okay? Sea surface temperatures in the northwestern portion of the Atlantic, above average as well, and including the Gulf here, not as far above average, running about 0.5 degree to 1 degree Celsius above the long-term average, which again, we've lost a little bit of the warmth there in the Gulf, but again, it doesn't matter now. It is warm enough to support strong to violent hurricanes. Now to this image, yes, you are witnessing 100 plus degree Fahrenheit sea surface temperatures right off the Florida coast. Yes, 101.1 degrees. Man, that's warm. That's all I gotta say. Very, very warm. Almost to the point where it's like a hot tub, or you could arguably say enough, it is like a hot tub. Sea surface temperatures right off Fort Myers, right across Key West, in the mid-90s, or low to mid-90s at least at this point. That's very, very warm. And I'm telling you, folks, again, I'm not trying to hype up stuff that you're about to hear out of my mouth. But if we get a tropical wave, and again, I'm emphasizing very clearly, folks, okay, if we get a tropical wave that takes full advantage of the very warm sea surface temperatures in the Gulf, including southern Florida, the Bahamas, with well-aligned, if the atmosphere cooperates, of course, you need everything to line up. Kind of like, you know, have you played that cup game? You know, where you have to stack the cups and then, you know, collapse them correctly. You know what I mean. Things have to line up, okay, in the Gulf and in the Atlantic with these very warm sea surface temperatures to get major to violent hurricanes. But I'm telling you, if we get a tropical wave, all right, that takes advantage of these very warm waters off the coast of Florida, look out. It could end really, really bad very quickly, okay? I mean, heat is juice. Heat is, or latent heat release from the water in itself is like jet fuel, octane fuel for very strong to violent hurricanes. And 101 degrees, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ironic, okay? So I hope I was very clear and concise with that. Everything has to come together. It doesn't always have to come together, and that's why sometimes, despite these warm waters, we don't get major hurricanes. See what I mean? It all makes sense now, because it might make sense very quickly if we get anything that comes into the Gulf and takes full advantage of these upper ocean heat content waters, which we see here. We're seeing yellows, oranges, and reds, which means we have moderate to very high values of upper ocean heat content, which means we have a lot of heat deep down below the surface of the ocean. I mean, several hundred feet down. That is 600 to 700 below the surface. And I'm telling you, it won't take one hurricane, violently speaking, to upwell cool water. It might take a couple, at least, to really kind of turn up the ocean to bring up cooler water from deep below the surface, or below the surface of the ocean, to kind of replace that warm water. After all, hurricanes are heat engines, and they rely on that upper ocean heat content, but they also help to kind of take heat out of the ocean. So in a way, I don't, and again, please do not misunderstand me here. At this point, we could certainly use major hurricanes in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to take out heat. Because, I mean, our oceans are very warm right now. Because that's what hurricanes do, right? They kind of remove the heat. They pull the heat out of the ocean, out of the water. As long as they don't hit land, we're okay if they pull heat out of the ocean. Stay away, hurricanes. Stay away from the U.S. Stay away from land. All right. Another map that I like to show you all is the potential. Okay. Again, just going off to with what I was saying. All right. I'm going to be as clear, concise, and honest with you all with this. Okay. This is not showing us that there will be this kind of hurricane. This is showing us if everything came together. Okay, we have the very warm sea surface temperatures in place, right? We all know that that's occurring, but we need plenty full of moisture. We need upward motion in the atmosphere. We need very light to no shear at all. We need a perfect thermodynamic profile throughout the atmosphere for very strong to life-threatening, catastrophic, violent hurricanes, okay? So this is kind of like if everything was perfect, how strong would a system potentially get? After all, it is potential. Look up here, potential maximum winds. Again, illustrating the chances that it could happen if everything came together. So right now, the Atlantic waters are simply warm enough to support violent hurricanes. That's Cat 5 or greater. Nothing greater than Cat 5. There's no Cat 6. But I'll tell you, all this blue here is pretty alarming, including the Gulf of Mexico and off the coast of Florida. Wow, that is a big deal. Big, 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 big deal. And see what I mean? Hopefully, and hope in itself is not enough to prevent anything coming your way. Hope alone is just not a saving grace. Okay, because you always need to get ready for what may be to come this hurricane season. And I'm telling you, the Gulf is very warm right now, more than warm enough to support violent hurricanes. Even 80 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 26 Celsius, in itself is enough to support strong to violent hurricanes if all comes together. So now, climatological speaking, we're not there yet. Thank goodness, right? With the warm waters that we're seeing, they're only going to get warmer, sadly enough. So where are we, you may ask? Kind of Pirates from the Caribbean, Captain Cook would say. Where are we? Where are we now on the map? Well, we're pretty much right here. So we haven't began the peak. We have not began the climb up the mountain kind of, going up the mountain, here we go. You know that song, right? So we're not there yet. In August, it all turns the corner, and by late August, all hands on deck, and then by September, you better look out. We know it's coming. There are a lot of forecast agencies predicting a very busy Atlantic hurricane season. And when you see this activity, you ask yourself, David, it's not active. Why are you hyping this up? Oh my goodness, you're hyping this up. Because we're not supposed to have a lot of activity. We're not supposed to have serious, destructive hurricanes now. Yes, they have happened in July. We know that for a fact. But they don't happen very often. It's usually late August. Okay, mark your calendar if you want for a reminder. The last 2 weeks of August, or especially that last sweet or terrible week of August, is when, the switch gets turned on and the pattern really becomes favorable for a lot of tropical waves that could really, really surprise us. Okay, wow, that was a long video. I'm sure it was over 22 minutes, but thanks to unwired, high-speed, reliable internet, this video will probably be uploaded in about 5 or 10 minutes, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get this video out by about 3:15 this afternoon, and it's 2:45 p.m., so I have like 30 minutes to get this out to you all. But I love you guys, and I hope that cleared the confusion, for crying out loud. I didn't mean to clickbait or do whatever I needed to do yesterday. I'm so sorry if you guys misunderstood me, but that's why I'm here to correct it in today's video. That's going to do it. Share, like, and subscribe, and I'll be back with you more tomorrow in the tropics.